10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Live Competition Plus Power Hour. Hello, folks. Lee Kraft in studio along with Mr. Dugenay Bland over there. Dugenay, I didn't get to catch your show, but I know you had an interesting guest, and certainly folks need to catch the Not Bland show with the individual you just had on. And we've got two interesting guests coming up on this show.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Man, it was a great time talking to Pete Richards. And then we had Tim Fabrizi on the back end. Man, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Definitely want to catch that.
Yes, folks, you all catch that. Tonight, we've got Doug Herbert slated, expecting to have him on. Can you remember the last time he did a show? I used to listen to him and Ralph Shaheen often with the drag racing podcast that they had, especially during a time when there weren't that many podcasts for drag racing, it seemed like, on, I believe that was PRN, not MRN, but Performance Racing Notes, I believe. We'll get that sorted out, hopefully, when we have Mr. Herbert on. Then we got the Ziz, TJ Zizzo on. Always good to chat with TJ Zizzo. Looking forward to having him on. Going to be his first outing coming up this weekend for the Route 66 Nationals there, just south of Chicago in Joliet. Actually, I think there's another little town it technically sits in. I got to figure that out. But it's going to be my first time going there this weekend. I'm looking forward to hitting that famed venue and that great facility for the first time.
Yeah, that's a bucket list for me. I love the way that whole entire track is set up. Kind of got that stadium seating going on. I love it. That's going to be good. And the weather looks like it's going to be great as well. And, man, it should be fun.
Should be a lot of fun. There is going to be knockout qualifying. Every field has more cars than the racing spots on race day. So we're going to have knockout qualifying. I intend to, one, have a particular focus on Factory X. Going to have them in the camera view and dive into the pits and talk to those drivers and cover that, as well as, in particular, coverage for McKinney Corp. A lot of McKinney cars are going to be there, just as there is with any NHRA drag race, and parts and pieces and components on just about anything throughout the world of drag racing. So looking forward to the Route 66 Nationals up there at Route 66 Raceway. And drag racing is happening all over this country this weekend. A famed event taking place as well, the Igniter up there at Boise, Idaho, at Firebird. That particular Firebird there in Boise. So there is action taking place all across the country, all across the world now. Australia, their drag racing scene, it's beginning to wrap up from what I understand. Some of their biggest events are about to take place. Santa Pod, you've got drag cars ripping down that historic venue as well. So drag racing is at full song at this point now.
Yeah, I think here in Georgia they'll be having the I think it's called DNL versus the World. It's like these Snoop Dogg cars with the big rims racing down the racetrack. That's the coolest thing. It's amazing to see those cars with big rims, and we're talking about heavy cars going down the racetrack and really lighting it up. And I think in my home track at home in Maryland. Maryland International Raceway, I think their next event isn't until the 26th of this month. I forget what that one is. It's a grudge race, I know that. And I do think at that grudge race, a family friend will be there with Copperhead racing in that one. Dude wins more than he loses, that's for sure.
Drag racing happening just about everywhere. And look, I love how diverse drag racing is. You're talking about, I think some call them like Donk Master cars or something of that nature. And is that something that is high on my list to go and attend? No, not really. But I could certainly go and have a good time and watch racing.
Yep.
and just enjoy the crowd that is there. And some people that go there may not enjoy NHRA drag racing, even though I'm like, how can't you? But nonetheless, you have so much diversity in drag racing, from 2 wheels to 4 wheels and on 4 wheels, all the different configurations that there is with all the different series that there are. And I just like to take it all in. It's all worth talking about. It's all worth seeing and experiencing. Drag racing is doing well.
Exactly. Yeah, man, it is. It really is. And I love the different forms. Basically for that event, you've got a race and a car show. I mean, these cars that are going down the racetrack are beautiful. I mean, you think you're like, really? You're racing this thing? But man, they've got some really nice, really strong engines in them, but they look good too. So it's a twofold thing there. So yeah, I really love all the different forms. Some of the forms you brought up with drag and drive, and being able to actually see them go down 75 to their next event was absolutely it was cool. And trust me, if you're out there and you're on an interstate and you see something like that, you will know that is drag and drive. It stands out, and it's super cool to see all these different type of cars just driving to the next race.
Okay.
It was awesome to see.
The only form of drag racing, except for as well the type of drag racing where you have to do the 30-mile loops and come back, that is just as cool, if not cooler, than an open trailer, because you see the race car. In the case of drag and drive, they're carrying a little trailer on a drag car. You got someone like Tim Bailey with effectively a pro mod that's street legal, towing a trailer to the next event. It is wild, and it is so cool. It is so fascinating, and it is a segment that you find people getting involved in, and there are plenty of people involved in it. It was USA Today. They put out what's the best motorsports event, and it was a fan-voted event, fan-voted type of vote, and the event that won out was Sick Week. So those that are IndyCar fans, which I am one, they didn't turn up to vote. Those that are NASCAR fans, which I am one, they didn't vote for the Daytona 500. Those that are NHRA drag racing fans, they didn't turn out enough for the U.S. Nationals on that list. But the drag and drive scene got together, band together, and voted for that particular brand of motorsports, and it got the nod by the fan vote. So that is some serious activation on the mainstream as a USA Today.
It is. It really is. It says a lot about how people are, I guess, viewing other forms of drag racing. You know what I mean? Sometimes people can be put off by something that is new, and maybe certain people don't understand exactly the concept, but it says a lot about just the drag racing fan overall. Most people, if it goes fast and looks cool, they'll at least give it a shot.
Right. And within the drag and drive scene, there is a flavor for just about anybody. You have their version of gassers with body styles and particular stance, things of that nature. And you have individuals get involved that are big name individuals, such as Finnegan, for example, in the program, and Bailey himself, and Alex Taylor. You've got people in that world that have big brands that, though they're not in NHRA drag racing, they certainly have a pull in the car culture world. And honestly, I would say, I think those in NHRA drag racing have got to work to do a better job within the larger car culture world, being known and accepted and lauded, not just within the NHRA drag racing world. NHRA drag racing in so many ways has become so specialized, become so race, that it is separated from its roots. You go back to the days of hot rod and hot rodding and car craft, and it being so intertwined, and that doesn't seem to be the case. We need NHRA drag racers highlighted in Hot Rod Magazine and beyond, and things of that nature.
Yeah, I agree. It's you are right. It has almost become like a specialty, and it kind of separated from the little stuff that people that's what people drew people into this type of racing. So yeah, it'll be important, and it is important that that meshing gets back to where it used to be. And I think that can't do anything but help racing as a whole.
For sure. I think the world's connected and people going in and out. It is going to certainly be good. Like, for example, Chicago, the event we've got coming up, they've got the Drag and Drive part of the program. And yeah. I'm not sure exactly how they did that last year, but I'm certainly intrigued in catching what I can of it this year. Maybe something, if I had the time, even cover that portion, because it is such a cool world to change those tires and change the setup a little bit and go out there on the road and drive it, and then roll back in and try to lay down your quickest times for an average. It's not even a win-like scenario. How quick can I be over the span of the course of the events and races track slotted.
Yeah, that's kind of a Drag Racing Mayhem kind of thing of taking the averages. He's talked about possibly doing that, like with qualifying or something like that. Yeah, I think that's interesting. It's a new way to look at it, and it creates interest because it's something different.
Well, even it is being used with some series, I think, of Extreme Top Fuel that I covered this past weekend at Rocket City Dragway. They take an average in qualifying. It's not just the quickest elapsed time. So It's intriguing. It's different. And the strategy is different in qualifying. And you're certainly not going to lay out. You need to go and make sure that you put down 2-3 good laps each and every time to be number one in that scenario. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do got Doug Herbert in the green room. We're going to take a break right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. And it is brought to you by Weldon High Performance. From soaring the clouds or soaring down the drag strip, they have your pump applications that you need, whether it's high performance or high in the clouds. Weldon High Performance. Doug Herbert, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour. Good to have you on, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, I know I saw you a little bit at ZMAX. I know you were out there and, getting around and chatting with some folks. You look at NHRA drag racing, where it is today at a place like ZMAX. Overall, what are your thoughts on the sport and where it is right now?
Well, I mean, you got to look, you look out there and you got to wonder. I mean, back a few years ago, wasn't that many years ago, right? We had 20 to 25 cars show up for Top Fuel and Funny Car and 30 cars show up for Pro Stock. So you got to wonder, okay, what's happened to that? I think it's probably cost, guys are, there's not as many weekend racers as there used to be, but I think in general, the sport's pretty good, right? You got Colettas out there, you got Force out there. But I mean, they're again, Connie Coletta, John Force, they're not spring chickens either. They're about like me. So I don't know. In general though, the racing's good. The performance is good. The cars look great. I mean, the competition's good. That 4-wide race, I mean, that final round was a great race, all the way around. So I think in general, it's hard to beat. I mean, there's just nothing like a nitro NHRA top fuel dragster funny car to me. I'm a nitro person, and I love it. And I enjoy going out there and seeing my buddies and Coletta and Warsham and Nikki and Jimmo and Clay and all the guys, Doug Coletta. I mean, I had a nice talk with Connie Coletta out there. It was great to see the rad man, and he's still, he loves it as much as ever. I mean, nobody's burned more nitro than him. I can tell you that.
For sure.
So what's been going on, Doug? What's been going on in your life? Like, what have you been up to?
Well, since my boy's car crash back in 2008, I've mostly been doing my doing the brakes driving program, Put on the Brakes. So your listeners could go to the putonthebrakes.org. If they've got any teenagers in their house, teenage drivers, you got to bring them to the program. It's a free program. We're teaching life-saving skills. It's absolutely incredible. I started out just with the plan of teaching their friends, and it snowballed a little bit. And now we've actually trained over 150,000 teenagers all over the country. And it's mainly due to, the great people at Kia, our great friend Terry Vance, so many of my friends in the NHRA, in the NHRA realm have been behind what we're doing. And it's just really, really neat. Teenagers come because it's kind of changed a little bit since I was a kid, right? That everybody loved your cars. You kind of go out, you polish your car, you put wheels on your car, you do all this stuff. Teenagers now in general, and there is some that still are like we were, but in general, they're more, the car kind of gets them from point A to point B. And it's really not that important either, because you can hop on FaceTime or you have other method of communicating with your buddies. So the cars have kind of, I think the teenagers have lost a little bit of interest in driving. And so what we're trying to show them is, number one, how to be safe behind the wheel. But number two, cars can be really fun, and they're more than just, just something to get you from point A to point B. It's like your personality, right? It's all of a sudden, it's really a big part of your life, just how it was for my, growing up in my life. And, I think it's really fun. It's interesting. And it's neat to see these kids change their outlook on what a car is, right? We like cars. TJ Zizzo love cars, right? His dad, his family, I see him coming on next. And, they love racing, right? Top fuel racing, Bonneville racing. And that's the kind of the way my family has been for my whole life. And I want to instill a little bit of that love for the car into these teenagers, but also make them realize, well, these cars can be pretty dangerous. And, I learned a hard lesson about that. My boys learned a hard lesson about that. And hopefully what we're able to do is save some lives of some other teenagers. And, mainly I don't want another parent to get that phone call I got, that their kids are not going to be able to come home because they got in a car crash, right? There's a place to go racing. There's a place to go fast, and there's nowhere better to go fast than at a drag race. You can go out to any of these thousands of racetracks around the country, take your car that you drive out there, even a minivan. I mean, it's not that cool, but at least if you're at a drag strip, you're going down a drag strip in a minivan. So a lot of fun at the drag races, and just trying to put the love of cars in there for these teenagers. And I think that's kind of what we're doing with Brakes.
Well, it is a great initiative, and thank you for taking something that was so tragic and turning it to a positive and helping so many others. Directly, what is a success story that comes to mind that you've heard through the grapevine get back to you of someone that's gone through your program and it did save their life?
Oh, we work with the University of North Carolina, Dr. Paul Friday, and he did a study for us over a 5-year period. And he studied thousands of teenagers that came through the program, and then also analyzed the standard DOT statistics. And what he found out after this 5-year study was that teenagers coming through the program are actually 64% less likely to be involved in a car crash. And I got to tell you, I would have been happy if it was 1% less, but 64% is absolutely incredible. So there's really no telling how many lives that we've saved with Brakes and with the training that we're doing over there. But we get letters and phone calls and emails every day from somebody that says, how it changed their life, how it made an impact on them. It's absolutely incredible. And not only for the teenagers, but for the parents, because we require the parents to go through the program with the teenagers, because the kids, they weren't born with the bad habits, right? They were watching us as parents from the time they turned around in that car seat, looking forward at us. So the parents, some of the biggest aha moments are with them. And we're really trying to make a difference there. And I mentioned Terry Vance a little while ago, but Terry came to a class, and I've known Terry for 30 years. He shows up at a class with his kids, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you tell me you were coming? He goes, nah, I just wanted to go online and see how it went and come and check it out. And, he had a great experience and then ended up bringing his kids back with their baseball team, brought their whole baseball team back. And it was just really neat watching that happen. And he said that the program really impacted his teenagers in a positive way. And so I just love hearing that and seeing that and knowing that we're able to make a difference in these teenagers like that. And my boys, if it wasn't for them, and I would have never, you get lemons, you got to make lemonade. And that's kind of what happened, right? I was down, and it's a lot of therapy for me to go and see the impact that we're making on these other teenagers and these other families' lives. And I'm thankful that I was able to be the dad to these great boys for 18 years almost. And now we're still continuing to make a difference in honor of them. So that's what it's all about.
So you're a racer. You love racing. Is there anything that Doug Herbert is working on that's going to go real fast?
Oh, yeah. That. Yeah. So I've been working on this car. My dad and I started on the project after my boys passed away. My boys spent the summer with my dad, and they just had a great time. And my dad was, one of the original hot rodders, right? Chad Herbert back in the day, he did, he was the first guy to make roller cams, right? And some of the old ads that he had, it didn't even say, Chad Herbert cams are best. It just said roller cams are better than flat tappet cams. Well, duh, everybody would know that. But he was the only one that had roller cams, so that was all he even had to advertise. So, anyways, he was a great hot rodder. He and I started this project building the Bonneville car. We're going to Bonneville to set the world land speed record. So it's a twin engine, 5,000 horsepower car to go 500 miles an hour. So that's what we're working on. Been working on it for a while. I lost a little momentum when we lost my dad back in 2009. My buddy Ray Evernham's been involved with the project, helping a lot with engineering and a lot of the expertise that he can bring from his NASCAR experience. I guess the number one NASCAR crew chief of all time. He's a pretty good help to have on your team. I can tell you that. But we're working hard on the project. I don't know if we're going to get it done for this year, but we're really making some headway on it. We've got the body underway. We've got the tanks are built and getting finished up. We've got the engines are over here getting finished up. So we've got a bunch of neat stuff coming together, and we're going to get that car out and go run the car and see how fast we can go.
Anywhere that we can follow that build, like on Ham or anything?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm working on all that, but the website is LSR for land speed record, lsrproject.com. So you could go to lsrproject.com or even dougherbert.com or whatever, and it'll lead you to the website for that. So yeah, there's a bunch of neat pictures and engineering stuff on there. So it's a little bit outdated. I need to get on there. I lost the password. I got to get on there so I can update the website. Like I'm an old guy. Like, how do you figure this out? I got to hire some young guy to come along and help us with the website and bring it up to date. But there's some good information on there, and it's a really, really neat project. It's an engineering masterpiece. The car really is, and we're pretty excited to get it out there and get it running.
Well, that's cool to hear that you still aim to go fast and set records, and you were accustomed to going fast and going quick in your Top Fuel career. Granted, I do want to ask, I want to bring up a couple of photos, and I want to ask, well, what did you get asked about more? Is it this incident at Pomona, or is it this incident at Maple Grove? Which one do you actually get asked more about?
It's amazing that year, that big fire at Pomona, the big explosion, we won 4 NHRA races that year and a couple of IHRA races. Like we had really one of the best cars in the country that year. And all everybody wants to talk about was a blow up, it's like, gosh darn, but it was, that was a pretty big deal. Connie Coletta came over right afterwards and he goes, Dougie, I got to tell you, I've seen a lot, but that's the worst I ever seen. If Connie said it was the worst she ever seen, that was pretty bad. There was nothing left. I mean, there was really no salvageable part out of that whole thing. The engine, the chassis blew the frame rails apart. It was a pretty big mess. And unfortunately it was Yeah, that was a bad day. I get asked more about that, and luckily Clay and I have turned things around. We're really pretty good buddies, and we talk to each other, and love seeing him here last weekend at the drag races. Made it to the final. That was pretty neat. So what do I get asked about more? I don't know. I wish they would ask about me winning that Noble Challenge for the biggest payday ever in drag racing at the time. But no, we got to talk about Doug Zilla. We got to talk about the explosion. It's like, man. But that's the way it goes. And but that was a really good year. 99 was for us. Dick LaHaye came on board with me in 98, and then in 99, man, we really picked up some momentum and had a really strong car that year.
What do you miss most about NHRA drag racing?
People asked me that last week, and the thing I miss the most is being at the drags, right? Just being out at the drags. I love being at the racetrack and all my buddies out there, being at the track for 25 years, you're friends, right? That's where all your friends are. That's where you hang out at the weekend. It's like if you go fishing, right? All your friends are at the fishing lake, but you go to the drag races, all your friends are at the drag races. And it's neat going out there and seeing everybody. I was talking to Del Warsham about it, and I go, I don't know if it's as much fun as it used to be. And Del told me, he goes, nah, it ain't quite as much fun. He goes, nobody's ever going to have as much fun as you used to have. And that might be right. I had a lot of fun drag racing. I'll tell you what, I really, really did. I miss it sometimes for sure. But I think the main thing I miss is, like I say, being out there, being around all of my buddies, and just a lot of great people out of the drag races. Have made some incredible friendships, that's for sure.
All right, very quickly, I want to do a little segment with you that you should definitely be familiar with from Straight Line when you were there with Ralph Shaheen. Red light, green light. All right.
Yeah.
So red light, green light, betting in NHRA.
If it'll help them, bring money into the sport, if it'll help, further the sport, I think I'm all for it. But I mean, you got to look at are races going to get thrown, or what's going to happen? I don't know. I think the jury's still out on it, but my initial reaction is, hey, if it can help the sport, great.
Okay. All right.
Green light, green light. I'd say green light for now, but it's like a deep stage,
I like it.
Hey, red light, green light on deep staging. It seemed like we didn't have those problems and issues in the heyday of your career, and it seems to pop up all the time. Driving and the strategy behind deep staging and gamemanship on the line.
Oh no, we had there was a lot of deep staging. I mean, Forrest, he's a deep staging king. Shirley, the first time I raced Shirley at somewhere, she put the top light out. I mean, it threw me off. And I mean, it taught me a lesson, like, you know what? Don't worry about what's in the other lane. Focus on your tree, race your own race. And hey, there's nothing wrong with deep staging. You're that much closer to the finish line. That's the way I look at it. I mean, crew chiefs hate it because it makes the elapsed time worse on the car. But at the end of the day, there's plenty of races that are won and lost by a couple inches. And if you're deep stage, you're going to get to the finish line sooner than you would if you weren't deep stage. So all I really care about is getting to the finish line first, especially in a final round, right? I mean, the lane choice means nothing. Obviously, in qualifying, you had to be as shallow stage as you can, but I'm all for deep stage, and I don't know, and I don't know that I've been seeing that much these days. I saw a couple of people deep stage over the weekend at the 4-wide, but not a lot. But you think there's more deep staging lately? It's kind of coming back a little bit.
Well, it's the reactions to when someone does it. There seems to be this, oh, you can't do that anymore type of situation. Some unwritten rules as if it's baseball or something.
Or golf.
Right. Yeah. If they don't want you to deep stage and put a rule out, you can't deep stage, you're disqualified. I mean, I think it's hey, it's part of the strategy, right? I mean, it's part of the strategy. If you're racing somebody and it's gonna throw them off by deep staging, guess what? Go up there, put the top light out. I mean, if it's gonna mess them up, it's an advantage, right? This is a professional sport, and they need to be able to focus on their tree and worry about what they're doing and not worried about what you're doing. And if they are, then you know what? Too bad for them, because then you take home the trophy and the check. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
I got one. Red light, green light, double bulbing.
I think generally, I mean, whenever I've done double bulb, it's usually by mistake. I mean, because I think it throws the driver off that does it probably as much as the other person. Because if you go up there and double bulb, generally you're not ready to go, right? You don't have the car on the high side, you don't have your clutch out, you're not 100% ready to go. So I would say double bulbing. I don't know. Somebody had to be a little bit better than me to go up there and be really, really ready, because I don't. Every time I've ever done it, it's thrown me off probably more than the other driver. So I don't think that's really an advantage, to be honest. Maybe there's somebody, maybe Force does it and he knows exactly what he's doing and he's ready. But I never had much luck. It threw me off more. I never did it on purpose, but every time I kind of tried to hurry up, it threw me off more than it ever threw the other guy off. So I would say, red light on that.
All right. Well, Doug, look, thank you for your time tonight. Once again, plug brakes where people can find that information and how they can get involved.
Absolutely. So you've got teenagers in your house. We run classes all over the country. Go to putonthebrakes.org. Putonthebrakes.org is a great place. There's all kinds of information on there. There's safe driving contracts. Just mainly parents need to talk to their teenagers about being safe drivers. It's kind of the first time in their life, right, that we have to make sure that they're safe when they drive out the driveway. We need to know that they're going to make good decisions. And that's really what Brakes is all about. So putonthebrakes.org, follow along with the Land Speed Project at my DougHerbert.com website or lsrproject.com. And hopefully we'll be going out there going 500 miles an hour this summer. And if not this summer, we'll be doing it soon.
Doug, thank you for the time, man. Good to chat with you.
Hey, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on. Have a good one. Tell TJ Zizzo I said hey.
Will do. He's about to come on.
Yes, sir.
See you guys.
Later.
All right. Well, with that, let's get Mr. TJ Zizzo on, chat with the hometown racer this weekend right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. I believe I saw where he's using Redline oil. He got a shipment in not too long ago. And Redline, if you're going to compete in the red line, you certainly want Redline synthetic oils, and the top competitors, just like Mr. TJ Zizzo, use Redline.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition and a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.
TJ Zizzo, hey, how about it? How good is that Redline oil?
I gotta tell you guys, first of all, it's good to be seen. I feel like I haven't been seen in about 6 or 7 months. I sat in this chair for the last 6 or 7 months, wondering if what my dad and I do on a daily basis to get this race car to the racetrack is all worth it. Because I got to tell you, sitting here stewing over financials for 6 months would definitely drive you to drink, no doubt.
I hear you, man. Now, is that looking over financials after running the top fuel car? No, and like, why are we doing? No,
no, that's exactly right. I mean, my dad stormed in just to the right of me is my door to this office, and he stormed in here like mid-December, and he's like, "What in the world do you think we are doing? Do you really think we could compete against the best in this sport? And why in the world are we spending all this money?" Like, he just came in here guns a-blazing, right? And I think I stared right at him and I said, "Dad, I think we could do it. I still think we could compete at the highest level, although we only go out 4 or 5 times a year."
I have to agree with that. I remember, I think I met you several years ago, and you talked about being prepared, and you guys prepare just as if you were going to a race. And last year, when you came out, it showed. You were competing right with the other guys that are racing every weekend. You still got the same guys, same group of guys. Any changes, or are we all still same guys, still chopping at the bit and chopping wood?
I am blessed. I am blessed to have the same core group of team members for like 30 years. Like, I don't know how these guys put up with me and my dad. I really don't. But I will tell you, they show up here every Tuesday night, every Sunday, any day in between to make sure that this car is prepared to go out there and rock and roll. I mean, last year I had Sean Langdon come up to me, which him and I don't talk very often, right? But he came up to me at the U.S. Nationals. I think we went 373, 330 right out of the box. And he, the next qualifying session, I'm way back in line and he's towards the front. And he's like, God, how do you guys do that? Like, you guys just come out here and whip our butts. And I just told him we have months to prepare. We don't race week in and week out. So we go back to the shop, we learn, we make phone calls, we massage parts. We don't come home to drink beer. We come home to work on this race car and make it really, really fast.
Well, you all do make it really, really fast. It's the Rust-Oleum rocket for a reason. Rust-Oleum is not the only partners that you have involved. Last week it was dropped that Master Truck and Trailer is on for the 2024 campaign. So these new partners and bringing partners on, how does that look in the Zizzo camp?
Well, you heard me stewing over financials, right, all winter long. And trust me, it kept me up at night, guys. I don't think, certainly racers understand. You're up at night, 2:00 in the morning, wondering, holy cow, how am I going to make my credit card payments? Or, holy geez, we have $20,000 worth of clutch discs coming, or we have $32,000 worth of crankshafts coming in. These are real numbers. And, I wonder, holy cow, how am I going to rob Peter to pay Paul this day, today? So to bring on new marketing partners is the goal, right? Like, we have gone to 3, 4, 5 races a year for the past 10 years, and we really want to go to more. We have geared up to have the best equipment in drag racing, new car, new cylinder heads, new engines, you name it. Don Schumacher did us a solid and got us up to speed on all of our equipment. We were about 15 years behind before last year. So we're up to speed. We have plenty of parts. We probably have enough parts to, I don't want to say run a full tour because that would be an exaggeration, but definitely 8 races a year, no doubt. And we could do it easily. So to bring on new marketing partners is key to this program. Rust-Oleum is very happy with us. We are very grateful to have them. And you move forward and you just try really hard to do the best you can on and off the racetrack, and hopefully more marketing partners appear. And that's the goal, certainly.
I think this is a great question that was brought up last week and, really hits home for the smaller teams. What do you feel the landscape of the NHRA, looks like for the smaller teams? And do you feel like left out not being a part of pro?
Well, here's the deal. I could be a part of pro, right? I just got to pay for it. I could pay myself right into pro. I've gone to their meetings. I know what they stand for. I know they try to help. But I will tell you, losing someone like Don Schumacher, right? He would tell NHRA, hey, you know what? If he didn't agree with the rule, he would basically tell NHRA flat out, I won't show up. My 4 cars at the time, or 8 cars, or 12 cars, or however many cars he had at one time, I won't show up. And they would listen to that. I don't know if NHRA is truly listening to pro. I don't know that firsthand. I know Alan Johnson does a really good job spearheading pro, and members are very good. They love our sport. They love what they're doing, of course. Sometimes I wonder if each member has their own agenda. I mean, we all have our own agenda, right? So they're doing the best they can. For small teams, NHRA is great. We come in, we do a great job. They treat us well. They know we try really hard. They try to get us to more races. NHRA is doing a great job. I saw Camping World, which is truly in our backyard. Their corporate headquarters is 1 mile from here. They stayed on board. Mission Foods, fantastic. I've been buying more of their chips and tortillas than I ever have because NHRA gave us a little weight break, right? So I could eat a little bit more of that stuff. And all those things are great for the sport. I think NHRA does fine for the small teams. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get an invite to go down and run that pro deal. I don't know if we would have or not, but we have a really good race car. We are an underdog beyond belief. We try really hard. Our team has been together for a long time. And I truly, truly believe we are one of the best part-time teams out there, which fans love that kind of stuff. So I don't know, maybe if they do it again, we'll be invited and we'll try it out.
Fans do love the part-time teams, from Top Fuel Dragsters to Funny Car. I think of yourself, Doug Foley, who I've worked for, the quad that he was in at ZMAX, he was the lowest ET car of that quad. So there are certainly high quality, show up every now and then type of machines. And I'm curious, do you think with there being pro, something that you could be a part of, that maybe for the independent teams that are showing up every now and then, that there might be something for them, needs some type of advocacy group, that the situations you all are in being a little different from Coletta Motorsports or a John Force Racing or a Capco, and you're able to have that think tank amongst yourselves?
I take a deep breath because, one thing you got to remember, my dad and I have drag raced for 40 years, a really, really long time, over 40 years. And I remember early in my career going to plenty Division III races with our alcohol dragster. And I remember many times racers trying to come together to do something productive for the sport. But here's the deal. Drag racers, we're all drug addicts, right? We all love what we do. We love the sport. We'll do anything for it, and I mean that. So we'll be the first ones out on the racetrack. Somebody will try to, stand aside and say, oh, no, I'm not going to run this race or I'm not going to do that. Well, guess what? They're the first ones there. So I don't know if all the small teams could stick together. I think what the small teams have done, and I want to say we were the trailblazer for it. You go to less races and you do a better job of the races you go to. We started this program way back in 2014, and other race teams have seemed to have learned from that. I know Scott Palmer came up to me, 10 years ago or so, and said, man, I want to do what TJ Zizzo does. I want to come out here and kick some butt and not go to, at the time, 24 events. I want to go to 12 events and do a really good job. So, I think we were the pioneers for that. And other teams have shown to do that now. And I think that's where we band together as part-timers to make sure that when we go out, we do a really good job for the fans, we do a really good job for the sport and ourselves.
You took the words right out of my mouth on that one. I 100% agree. I will say that I believe that you have set the example. It's at this day and age now, you don't have to worry about a small team going out there and loading it up and oiling the racetrack down. Like, no one does that anymore. And on top of that, when they do come out, they're very prepared. And as I talked about on my show, the Tim Fabrizi, there are no gimmies in this thing anymore. You can't look over there and say, well, I'm running Scott Palmer today, or I'm running Doug Foley today, or I'm running TJ Zizzo today. I'm just going to put in an A to B and I'm just going to go and we're going to win the round. So it's not a big deal. No, you can't do that. You have to go up and you have to go up to race as if you're racing a Ron Capps, if you're racing a Steve Torrance, because at the end of the day, we'll put you on the trailer if you think you're just going to roll the helmets up and just going to run. It's not going to work. And I really do believe that, you guys should be praised for what you have done. And again, each and every year, it continues to show the hard work that you've put in. The formula that you have is working, and it sure as heck helps when you've got all your people continuing to come back every year, because we know continuity is very important.
It's amazing. I got to tell you, the continuity is key, right? I say two things have to happen. We need financial backing, and we need our team members. If one of those dissipate, we're done. My dad and I will be done. It's just as simple as that. And our team members are amazing. Like today, we are at the shop right now. They're loading our race car. We're going to back the trailer out real soon out of our shop, get it prepared to go to Joliet tomorrow. And it's the same group of people. So this is easy. Hey, here's your tickets. Let's roll. You know, it's that simple, and it shows. It shows. But, you know, you mentioned these teams. There are truly 19 really, really good race cars going to Joliet this weekend. 19 cars. That means 3 really, really good race cars are going to be going home. And that keeps me up at night, guys. Like, my fear in life is failure, right? That's my fear. So when I see 19 really good cars going to the racetrack, you know, I think to myself, holy shoot, we might not qualify. But I had an epiphany last weekend when I was power washing my deck. And the epiphany was this. We may be number 1 qualifier too. Like, think about that, TJ Zizzo. You have equipment and a team that could be number 1 qualifier. Thanks. So I stopped and I smiled to myself, and then I continued to power wash for like 4 or 5 hours.
Well, I'm sure you've got to be smiling. First race of the year. It is quite advantageous. It's just down the road practically for you and your gang there in Joliet, south of Chicago, and home race. That facility back online in the economy of NHRA drag racing at the Mission Foods level. How good is it?
You know, it's good. It's good. I love that racetrack is open, even if it's just for a weekend, right? It's still open. It's a beautiful facility. One of our longtime team members here, Tony Smith, he works right across the street from the place. So, you know, he says it was sad to see it dormant for so long. And for it to be open is special. All of our marketing partners are truly from the Chicagoland area, most of them. And it's wonderful. It's good to have family and friends. And, you know, I joke about it. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt, but to have my phone ring for the past month of people that have helped us put up the back door of the trailer, maybe once 35 years ago, that still want tickets to go to the event. And I tell people, we spend like $7,000 in tickets sometimes for this event. So NHRA is not granting us tickets, guys. We have to pay for them. But overall, I'm excited for the event. I'm excited for our team to roll back out. You know, I wake up in the middle of the night now, not so much thinking about finances, although I still do. I think about the fun and the enjoyment I'm going to have this year, campaigning at Top Fuel Dragster with my dad, with our team, with our family and friends. And really, that's what it's about, man. If you're not having fun, it's not even worth showing up at the shop to work on this thing.
So looks like Dave W. has a really good question. Are you doing the pancake breakfast this year?
It's great. Important. I heard you guys talking to Doug Coletta, and everyone knows Doug Coletta for of course, Dougzilla, and also the big explosion, right? But Doug Herbert, first of all, there's a super individual, right? Doug Herbert was one of the first drivers when I started in Top Fuel, progressing from our alcohol dragster, that came up in the staging lanes to just introduce himself. He was one of the first guys to do that, and it meant a lot to me. He was also the first guy I ever beat in Top Fuel competition at the U.S. National. So that was kind of cool too, right? But, yeah, you know, through his work of trying to help people drive automobiles and try to help young kids drive cars appropriately, I love that. He's such a great human being. I think he got a really bad rap for Clay Milliken's deal, you know? I think he got a real bad rap for that. Doug Herbert is a super guy. And once again, the reason I bring him up is because he's known for those things, right? I'm known for flipping pancakes, for God's sake. Nitro Cakes will be in the house, 8 o'clock Saturday morning. More people know me, know me because of my pancake flipping and because of the camaraderie I have while flipping pancakes than they do that I drive a Top Fuel dragster over 330 miles an hour.
I'm glad I'm going to be in Chicago. I know where I'm going to be.
Yeah. No doubt. And this is no joke, guys. Like, I prepare heavily for this. Like, this isn't just somebody flipping pancakes for TJ Zizzo. I have a buddy named Mo, super good guy. He's been with us for a long time, helping me out. And we go out there in the morning, sweat bullets, making pancakes and enjoying the people. It's awesome.
That's
many
cool.
races-
That's cool.
How many races you plan on doing this year?
We're going to absolutely go to Norwalk, Ohio next. Bill Bader invited us. It was so amazing. He invited our team to go to the Night Under Fire, which is super cool. Like that's something spectacular. So we'll be there in August 3rd, and then we'll go to the U.S. Nationals. Of course, we got to go there. I think we've missed it once or twice in 40 some odd years. And from there, we'll go to St. Louis, and then I think we'll truncate the season there. Unless another marketing partner comes aboard and wants to do great things with us, then I would have no troubles. None of us will have any troubles dragging this thing wherever they want it to go.
Well, someone certainly needs to step up and allow y'all to drag it wherever they want you to go and where you all want to go, because it's certainly a quality hot rod and individual behind the wheel that can get it done also. TJ, thank you for your time, man. Looking forward to seeing you at Chicago. I know the Chicago fans are going to be pulling for you, but even beyond the Chicago fans, NHRA fans are pulling for you. And thank you for being one that the fans do admire and do love and do pull for.
Thank you, guys. And without fans, TJ Zizzo and Zizzo Racing doesn't exist, right? Like that's the key to this. That's the most fun, being at the ropes, hanging out. And I will tell you guys, last year with our new car and debuting new parts every single race, I did not have an opportunity to really be at the ropes a lot. And I promised myself that this year we have everything organized, as organized as it's going to be, and I want to go out there and commingle again, because that is the best situation. I also want to give Don Moore a shout out. He's a big fan of your show. And he said, hey, can you give me a shout out? I said, Don, no problem at all. There he is. Super cool.
He is a big fan. He's a big supporter, and he certainly loves his drag racing. And I'm certainly glad for him and others like him and folks such as yourself. I don't think Dale Crease is going to be out there yet, but he's up there. You got Bodie. Chicago and drag racing is really tied together. It is one of those hot spots in drag racing and in the country. And NHRA drag racing, Mission Foods level needs to be there. And I'm glad it's back.
Thank you.
TJ, take care, man.
Bye, guys.
Later.
Always good to chat with TJ Zizzo here on the Competition Plus Power Hour or beyond. Another individual that Met calls Chicago home. We talked to him last week, Chris King. He has on his hot rod a flopper there in the Mission Foods series in the NHRA Competition Products. And if you want to compete at the highest level, you need those products from Competition Products.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S.
Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away.
Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
And now we have Elon Warner on the show. We didn't have him slated, but he's like, hey, let me come on. Let's do some chatting. And we certainly want to talk about some drag racing bracket bonanza. But big news dropped for the NHRA today with a deal on data and stepping closer to, hey, they put some money on scenario.
Left lane, right lane.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, actually. Alt Sports Data, which they are a relatively new company. They do a lot in alternative sports, surfing, PBR, variety of sports. And they're basically a company that helps leagues break into the gambling betting space. So it's considerably different than what we do with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. And basically as a data company, NHRA, all the data that we accumulate on runs, reaction times, 60-foot times, 1,000-foot times, they are going to partner with NHRA to use that data for real-time gambling, I believe. And I don't know what their plans are. We just got a lot of questions today on social media about what does this mean for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. Honestly, I think it's great because fantasy is a gateway to gambling. We all know that. So it's good for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. We'll always be free. We'll always be family friendly. But there are people that would like to gamble and bet, and I think drag racing lends itself to that perfectly. And Alt Sports Data is a company that, will help the NHRA get into that space and use their data efficiently and with integrity and all those things that are so important to us. So that's kind of the cool thing is NHRA has been talking about and working behind the scenes to get gambling, sports betting in our universe. And this is kind of another step towards that.
This definitely takes us to a whole different level. And then it does help Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, because now I can also look at my odds, and then I can look at the stats that I get from Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, and then I can kind of make my decision based on that if I want to.
Right. And I see there's a potential for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza and All Sports Data to work together, because we get data, predictive data from our fans as soon as the brackets open on Saturday night. People are making their picks, and we do the graphs that we release basically right after first round starts, where we'll have thousands of people tell us that they think, Gage Herrera is going to win in Pro Stock Motorcycle, or Erica Enders is going to win in Pro Stock, or Doug Collette is going to win in Top Fuel. We get that data arc starting from the first person that fills out their bracket to who they think is going to win, who they think is going to get to the semifinals, who they think is going to win first round. So I think hopefully there's some opportunities for us to work together and just continue to grow the sport and make things more fan interactive. I don't know anything about Alt Sports Data. I know they're out of San Diego. I did a little bit of research today. But I'm just excited that, again, it's just the NHRA making forward progress to bring more fan interactive opportunities. And, so many people are clamoring for, can we get some kind of sports gambling? And it's so incredibly expensive. I mean, the NHRA has invested years of time to get legal in all the states where sports gambling is legal. You have to do every state one by one. And now you're going to have to come up with the game or the way you're going to do it, whether it's just picking head-to-head winners or picking against elapsed times. Who knows how that's all going to come together. But the cool thing is, we're moving in that right direction. Drag Race Bracket Bonanza is continuing to grow. We've got Peak on board for the Route 66 Nationals. So, we're letting people make their picks and win cool prizes. So I just think it's going to be, it's an exciting time for NHRA, especially if you're a fan that wants to get even more interactive with the sport.
I think it's important for the betting world. I think they would want more that is bettable, if you will, in their portfolio, to have people as a customer and the money flowing in and out, because I'm not much of a betting individual, and even though like blackjack fascinates me, I have never sat at a table. But the one time that I almost put some money was, I'm in Las Vegas, first time ever. I'm looking at the sports booking thing in Westgate, and it's big setup, and I'm like, Martinsville is today, NASCAR Cup. I'm like, you know what? I think I should put some money on Chase Elliott. I went on, didn't bother. Guess who wins that day? Chase Elliott.
Of course, that's how it always works out.
Yes,
but because it was NASCAR, I was that much closer to putting my money in the pool.
Right. And I think
horse racing or anything else.
Right. What you see with companies like, even All Sports Data, or that are doing, fractional games where I have friends that don't gamble a lot, but they like to just have a little skin in the game, and they may bet $4 or $5, but they're betting WNBA, they're betting Japanese baseball games, they're betting lacrosse. Really, you just want to have a product in that space, and that's what I think Alt Sports Data will bring to the NHRA is the expertise in creating the property, or and then marrying it with a company, whether that's Betway or MGM Grand or FanDuel or whoever it is. They're going to be kind of that intermediary, I believe, and just really help the NHRA get into that space. And I think when you can see and get used to the ability to just make a bet, right lane, left lane, can Doug Collette run quicker than 370 on this run? Reaction times, overrun, who knows what all. I mean, we all know our sport has so many different data points I think the opportunity for in-game, in-race, gambling could really just be a huge game changer for us and could be a great revenue source for the NHRA as well.
Yeah, revenue is important, and it could be a huge source for other teams looking for sponsors, because now you can actually use those types of things,
Right.
those betting sponsors there. I mean, I've always said it, and you've seen me tweet 1,000 times about it. We're betting on pro wrestling, people, and pay-per-views. Okay, this is predetermined matches here, and we're betting on those things. There's no reason why we can't bet on something that is not predetermined and is very hard to really make a pick and guess on.
And you look at even at all our categories. We've done Bracket Bonanza now, for 12, 15, 13 races. Yes, Gage Herrera has kind of had a stranglehold on Pro Stock Motorcycle, but there's a lot of races before you get to the final round, and it's very rare for someone to have a perfect bracket. No one's had all 4 categories. No one's even had 2 categories. We've had a handful of people, but there's still so many upsets. You factor in 4 wide, you factor in, just really the emergence of so many teams like TJ Zizzo, Chris King, Terry Totten, Dave Richards getting financing behind him.
Yeah.
Bobby Bodie. It is now. There's been so much parity in our sport, which is great. That there aren't a lot of runaway winners anymore. I mean, I think guys get hot, but you see that in every sport. You'll see a baseball team go on a 10-game winning streak. You'll see an NFL team maybe win 8 games in a row, but just when you think they're a sure thing, that's when Lady Luck steps up and is like, not so fast. And I think that's where our sport will always have that unpredictability, upset-minded. And, we're just excited, to get back at 2 wide racing with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. We'll have our tip sheet out on Friday. You got a lot of things cooking. If you can imagine, you win, one of the categories for the Route 66 Nationals this weekend, you're going to get your autographed plaque for winning Top Fuel. You'll also get a limited edition John Force Racing Peak 50th Anniversary diecast, and you'll get a Peak goodie bag. Yeah, I mean, that's for a game that you're playing for free. So we're giving that package to the overall winner, Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, and Pro Stock Motorcycle. Those 5 people are going to get an amazing package. And then 2 through 10 in the overall finishing order are going to get that whole Peak package minus the diecast car. So, we're, Summit stepping up with gift certificates for more races. We've got some more exciting sponsors who are going to kick in some extra stuff. So the whole goal of Drag Race Bracket Bonanza is get people playing, get people interested, have a skin in the game, and then also give them a bunch of cool stuff. I mean, that's ultimately what I like people. We've done some online contests, and a guy named Joe won an autographed hat from all the Charlotte winners. And apparently he's a sportsman racer. So he was like, man, he goes, if you could send me some decals, I'll put them on my race car. And that just makes my heart happy. Just to have logos out there and to see our Drag Race Bracket Bonanza logo on the side of Justin Ashley's car when he wins, and he's doing winner circle pictures with it. It's fun for me to see that interaction. I was talking to Sean Langdon, and people come up to him in the ropes and talk to him about Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. So it's becoming part of our routine, and that makes me so happy because we're getting more people playing every race. And now, we'll go over 3,000 players probably coming out of Chicago, and we'll just see where it takes off from there.
Well, it's very, very good to hear of the success and things moving forward as we knew it would. And it's certainly something drag racing at the level that is Mission Foods has needed for a very long time. And thank you for bringing it online, Elin. It has been good to play and participate and see where it's going. And it is something that I see it from show to show. I see it from thread to thread, people talking about it. And talking about it, if I may put it this way, naturally, like you're on the show right now, but we'll have people go in the comment section and they'll mention their bracket without you on a show. And I've seen that elsewhere. It is a chord to be struck within the drag racing scene right now, for sure.
Yeah. And that makes me, I I get excited when I see that, when I see, because trust me, I scan Twitter. I want to engage with people. And when I run across somebody that, just makes an offhand comment, like Kayla from Drag Illustrated, she's doing their top 7, their update deal. And she just makes a throwaway comment in an article about, well, this blah, 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 blah. This really kind of messed up my bracket for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. That, like you say, it becomes an organic part of, your day or your race. And now we're going to get into the summer where we're going to have a lot of races. So that's where we're excited to just get more people involved, have people tell their friends, because we do want it to just continue to become a community. We've got over 200 leagues now, which I think is awesome. And some of the leagues are 4 people. Some are over 100 people. And to me, I love the fact that we're giving people another kind of reason to watch the race, to be invested, to, when they're making their picks, on our stat side, when they start seeing guys, they're going to start showing up. Chris King's going to start hitting the bracket list. TJ Zizzo, and people may not know, they're going to go and find out what's the story with Chris King, what's the story with Bobby Bodie, what's the story with Jack Wyatt, and how hot is Doug Coletta? How hot, can Justin Ashley stay hot? And the first person that, wins Pro Stock Motorcycle without picking Gage Herrera, trust me, we will hear about it on social media, because someone's going to be like, see, I knew finally not picking Gage Herrera would pay off for me. There's some Matt Smith and Angie Smith fans out there that have just been diehard picking them. And maybe or Steve Johnson, maybe this is their weekend in Chicago, that their loyalty to those drivers is finally going to pay off.
You see Dave W's comment.
Right.
I'm telling you.
So many people are that way.
Yes.
Bro, one weekend, it was going well until it wasn't.
Right.
And I'm like, it's one of those days where it's just like, I just almost just turn the TV off. I'm just like, I just can't even take this anymore.
I feel like Drag Race Bracket Bonanza is keeping the burning dumpster gift business, like keeping that person that's making those gifts in business. Because I've seen more in the last 3 races, more burning dumpster fire gifts than I've ever seen. So it cracks me up, and we're continuing to make improvements. Like we just added the ability to search by username. Yeah. So that's, we're starting to get, so many players that it's like now tedious to go through, and you want to find your buddies or you want to see how you're doing. So we're actively continuing to update and try to improve. I saw now, I'm also super pumped that the dragracereference.com, that is fantastic. I love to see that, because that's, again, leaning into those forward-facing stats. And, we have a fair amount, but to just have more stat information out there just makes the sport that much more interesting when you can find out more information. And my hat is off to anybody. I mean, we constantly work to add data, add stats, to Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. But to just have a standalone, dragracereference.com is huge for our sport. Yes. To just have that information out there. For so long, it's been just kind of hard to find and hard to use and organize. And now I think you're going to see probably in the next year. And it ultimately makes it easier for non-drag racing people to understand our sport.
Right.
And that's really what we want, is we want people to be able to find that stuff, easier.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it as a media guy too. Like, Pro Football Reference is great if I really want to get deep into stats,
right?
And kind of break it down a little bit. And when I think of Drag Race Reference, it's just like, man, now I can go to one spot, I can look up something, I can look up any driver and find out, okay, where, what was his time at this race, a particular time, did he win? Looking at reaction times, it's just so many things that you can dig into to create more statistical data to write articles or to talk about. It's just, it's going to be great.
And we're starting now with our Denzi's Deets, you sign up for the email blast, you get that email on Friday. It's up to 2 pages now, and we have all 4 categories. We've got a nitro page and a pro stock page, but we're starting to add in, average reaction times, average mile per hour to help people, with the speed as a tiebreaker. It helps to see what some speeds are if you don't know anything. I remember the first time we did speeds for the first couple test races last summer, and people were like, pro stock motor, pro stock top speed 320 miles per hour, pro stock motorcycle 210 miles per hour, because they just they knew Top Fuel was fast, they knew funny car, they just figured all 4 classes. So that education process has just been good for the sport to understand. Would I like to see a pro stock car go 300 miles per hour? Of course I would. Do I think Matt Smith could stay on a pro stock motorcycle if it went 250 miles per hour? I think he could, but he would need to get all the corral boots, added padding, leathers, titanium plates. He would need. So just having that information out there and having people talk about it. I love to see just those conversations, like you said, and I love talking to you guys about it. I think it gives us a lot to talk about in the press room and all that stuff too. So my main goal is still, I'm waiting for the day. My Moby Dick right now is to get Brian Loans to acknowledge it on the Fox broadcast. I just want to hear Loans on the Fox, just mention that's a drag race bracket bonanza upset pick, or it just, my day's coming, I hope. I'm an NHRA partner, I'm doing some, promotions with them, but that's still, you'll know when that happens, because you'll hear me all the way in Mansfield or in the press room just jumping for joy. So
it's going to happen. It's going to happen naturally too. It's just going to come out.
Right. It's just going to come out. I've got drivers, that are going to have the decals on their cars. That's really cool. When guys are like, hey, I'm changing bodies. Can I get some more Drag Race Bracket Bonanza decals? And I kind of know where they are there. Greg Anderson has it on his car. Dallas Glenn has it on his car. So I just, the racer support is awesome. The fan support is awesome. When Alan talks about it over the PA, and Alan and the Jasons are having conversations, or Joe about, their brackets. I just love everything about it.
It's very good. Very good that you're getting that support. It's the way it should be. We should be supporting each other's initiatives.
For sure.
Within the sport to move it forward. If we all move forward, the whole sport moves forward.
Exactly.
Especially with something like you've developed, because it is able to draw new people in at an entry-level way, become engaged and learn more about the sport, and keep people engaged over time as well, until they do have their brackets busted and they're not interested.
Right, and then you're just basically just slowly closing your laptop and shutting down NHRA.tv.
Right. You're just done.
We've all been there.
Yeah, right. And by the way, Dave W., we need to get you on my show. We need to talk about the new website. We had a conversation right here on Power Hour, if I believe, with him developing, and now it's rolled out. And it is great that you don't have to have a hotline to Brett Kettner or Bob Fry to know anything now. You can go and look and see for yourself at a website. That is cool. Well, Elon, look, before we shut things down, before we let you go, let's all go into, picks for this weekend. Top Fuel. Dujane, we'll start with you. Who is your pick to get it in Top Fuel? I mean, heck, we could even just pick who's going to make it.
Man, I'm going for the dark horse. I'm going with my girl Brittany Force.
How insane is it that Top Fuel's so competitive that we're calling Brittany Force a dark horse? But you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm going to go sentimental. A lot of people are going to be remembering Don Schumacher this weekend. Give me Tony Schumacher in Top Fuel.
He's going to be extra motivated.
Dujane's pick is great. And wow, it's strange. Dark horse with Brittany Force, 2-time champion, David Grubnick in her corner. I think that's a good pick, though. Chicago, that track, it is a throwdown type of track. It looks like we're going to have weather with some throwdown possibilities. Yeah. And when you get to that type of scenario, having David Grubnick is certainly one of the top ones to have. And certainly, I think we're all kind of pulling for Tony with this one in Chicago, and Dad getting honored, and he's going to have the special livery. That is cool, and we're going to be pulling for him, and I hope he gets it. I really like that pick for Top Fuel, and I'm going to go with Dugenais. I have to go Brittany Force as well. I was thinking that, they got some momentum with some new marketing partners aligned for the year, and again, it is going to be the scenario where I think having David Gribben is good to have in your corner. Funny Car. I think in Funny Car we're going to see. You know what? I think we have a repeat of last year, but it's the younger Wilkerson. They figure it out, just like they figured it out last year, and Daniel Wilkerson goes and gets a hometown win in the state of Illinois there at the Route 66 Nationals.
Dugenais, you going to go? You want me to go?
You go.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing. I would say it's hard for me in Chicago to go against Matt Hagan. I think he's got some things figured out, and that's going to be. I think we're about to see Matt Hagan rip off 3 or 4 wins in a row.
That might be possible, but I think somebody's going to be in his way, and it's going to be that Toyota Supra, that DHL Toyota Supra. I'm going to go with J.R. Todd.
Okay. So now let's real quick, since we've all made our picks, let's talk about the guys that we didn't pick that have been kicking ass this year. Bob Tasca.
Yes.
Austin Prock. John Force. How great is that? These guys insane. Are all, no one's going to second guess our picks, but then you're also like, we just picked 3 guys that have already won races that are like, no, I don't like their chances this weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Pro stock, give me Matt Hartford. I think pro stock, I think this is Matt Hartford. I know he's been testing the wheels off of his pro stock car. He's my pick for the either Hartford or Greg Anderson are going to win that pro stock specialty race.
Yes. I got Greg for the specialty race.
Okay.
And I got Greg to win it.
He's
Greg,
a man on a mission.
He is championship Greg Anderson. His lights have been tremendous. He looks like championship Greg, and I think he's going to be tough to beat.
Right.
Sorry, Erica, not this time.
Okay. Well, I will go the Erica route and bet on red and take her. I think right now we're in a scenario where if you're taking odds, it's hard to go against Erica or Greg right now. Just is hard. Yeah, for sure.
But think about it. We just picked Erica, Greg, Matt Hartford, Dallas Glenn. We didn't say anything about any of the Quadra boys are running very well. Yeah. David Quadra, Christian Quadra running exceptionally well. There's a pack of cars that we didn't mention, but
right. Pro stock motorcycle. Do we even bother?
Are we all gonna on the count of 3? Why don't we all just say Gage Herrera?
Right.
That has to be your pick until someone beats him.
I know it has to be.
Yeah.
It really has to be. And
I want to say Matt. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. In Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, it's Gage until it's not Gage.
Right.
And
he's on the cusp of history, winning 8 races in a row, which is going to tie him with the legendary Dave Schultz, who I was talking with Gage in the Charlotte press room about that, and he was like, man, he goes, I remember watching Dave Schultz race with my dad, and the thought of equaling, the great Dave Schultz. There's luminaries in pro stock motorcycle, and I am by no means a pro stock motorcycle expert, but you start getting into the rarefied air of Dave Schultz and John Myers.
Yeah.
And especially as young as he is in his career, that's impressive stuff. But I think he is definitely, it's getting harder for him to do it. And I think, I don't want to say pressure. I just think it's just hard to be that good, that consistently. And I think if he cracks that door open, Matt or Angie Smith are going to come barreling through that, or Richard Gadsden. Do not sleep
Yes.
on him. I think if
That's
anybody,
a bad man.
I think you get a Richard Gadsden, Gage Herrera final round, and it's a coin flip. And that sounds crazy to say, but sorry, I can't believe I dominated that much on Pro Stock Motorcycle Talk.
No,
that's
true.
That's the beauty of Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. Had I not been involved, I would have been like, oh, Gage Herrera, that's it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with you though. Richard is that guy, and it's just a matter of them getting the bike and him getting more comfortable.
Yeah.
I say though, in that camp over there, Ellie is not far off either. That bike is fast.
Yep.
I can't wait for Kelly to get comfortable. That bike is fast, and they both can run right with the rest of them. It is. It's going to be interesting, though. I know Matt and Angie are right on the door. It's just a matter of being consistent. That's all it is. I don't think they're not there. I just think it's a matter of the consistency.
Yep.
And it is. I don't care what anybody says. It is about how you ride the bike. And Gage is just that good at it. But that doesn't mean Matt's not a 6-time champion for nothing.
Right.
So
he didn't.
You ain't gonna keep him down that long. Exactly. You ain't gonna keep him down that long. And I think this year he showed it several times already that they're right there. It's just a matter of putting it together, but run after run after run, making it repetitive.
Lee, who do you like in Pro Stock Motorcycle? You're just going to stick with Gage? You got any backup?
Just Gage. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
You can't right now. Everything that has been stated is valid. And, I really think we're in just a situation of Pro Stock Motorcycle. Is it going to be a snap change, or is it going to continue to be a gradual change? Because people are right there with him, but it's still not enough.
Right.
Yeah.
So
guess who's coming to play?
And
Gino Scally.
Yeah. But here's the thing. We could be entering an era that is very Force-like with Gage Herrera. And I don't say that lightly. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show, The Office, where Andy Bernard was like, I wish someone would have told you were in the good old days when you were in the good old days.
Yeah.
I think we could be in the midst of a seasonal dominance, the likes of Force, Greg Anderson, Tony Schumacher, where, the guys won 7 races in a row, and we do not see any reason for him to not. I mean, could he, the guy only lost 3 rounds of racing last season, 4 rounds of racing.
Yep.
That could mean 20 race wins this season.
Wow.
I mean, and so you just enjoy it. If you're frustrated by it, respect it.
Right.
But there's guys, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, do not have NBA championships because they just ran into buzzsaw named
MJ.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And they're amazing athletes, but God dang it, they just just bad birth dates.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it does periodically happen within motorsports, for sure. Like any sport, you've got that period where you didn't want to run into, as we've mentioned with you stating John Force, you didn't want to run into a Kenny Bernstein, you didn't want to run into a Dale Earnhardt, you didn't want to run into a Jimmy Johnson, you didn't want to run into whoever. You've got
Sammy
those
Snell.
periods.
I mean, there's Donnie Schatz. I mean, Donnie Schatz is still up there laying waste to people in World of Outlaws. It's just like when he decides to get ready to win. Well, Kyle Larson, same. I mean, what?
Yeah, that dude.
A couple years ago, Kyle Larson won like 14 World of Outlaw races in a row or something crazy like that. That he was just basically, But that's what makes the sport so great. That's what's going to make having gambling, having betting, being able to get a little action on it. That's what's going to be awesome for us.
Yeah, huge
for sure. Elon, look, always thank you for the perspective and your time coming on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Everybody, fill out those brackets.
Thanks, guys.
Later.
Dujanay, good one. Doug Herbert, TJ Zizzo, Mr. Elon Warner, and there is so much to look forward to this weekend just in Chicagoland.
Yeah.
But there's certainly drag racing happening beyond and elsewhere. Drag racing is at full song. Folks, I will be out at Chicago. I got a good deal in a room. I'm so happy.
Nice.
And I'll be heading up that way. Going to be covering things for Murph McKinney from McKinney Corp. Murph's going to be up there as well. It's going to be cool to see him at the track. And last time he was at the track, he got pulled into a holler to weld up a tank. The man can't even go to the race and enjoy it. He gets pulled in and got to weld something up. But and my intent right now is to cover the 8-car field that's currently listed right now for Factory X. That is going to be my intention. McKinney Corp and covering Factory X, putting some spotlight on them. I feel like the professional classes, they get all the spotlight that they need and deserve anyway. Why not put the spotlight on one of the best up-and-coming classes that there is? Man, those cars are sexy.
Man, they're awesome, boy. I wish I had one. I mean, they really suck you in. Like you when you watch them, you're like, man, if I just maybe I could scrounge up a few pennies and try it. You know what I mean? Like it's so much fun. It really is. They are awesome looking cars too. They
are for sure, man. And if that class, I think, is going to continue to move forward. And I will say this: if you're one of those, and I certainly understand, Pro Camaro, referring to Pro Stock.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to see OEM badging that is clearly identifiable on a race car, then if you're in Chicago this weekend, you need to stay in the stands for this class. The NHRA needs to see you taking pictures and posting on Twitter and adding them. We love this class. They need to be pestered about Factory X. Show them that you love this movement.
Yeah, it's important. Everybody feels like that their voice may not matter, or this is a great time to exercise that voice. Social media is powerful, and we've seen it over the last, here we are in this season, and we continue to seeing that slow movement forward. NHRA is listening, and they're doing what they can. Like we've talked about, it's slower than we like, but the moves are being made, and they are listening. They see it, and they're listening, and they're trying to make moves, and that's important. And so, your voices do matter. And so, do what you can to try to continue to pester. I know I do.
Yes. Well, we're not going to pester any longer. It's been a good show. Thank you all for riding along. Hit that like button, hit the share button. We plan on being right back here Tuesday night live with the Competition Plus Power Hour. I am Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer, and over there, Dujanay, you got to take it.
It's me, Dujanay.
Yeah, you can catch him at the Not Bland Show and on Instagram and X. It's not Twitter, man. X.
I know.
I still haven't got there yet.
It's the artist formerly known as Twitter.
Yes, I love. Yes, that's a great way to put it. The artist formerly known as Twitter, or I re-X'd. That still doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't ring. It's not smooth at all.
Re-Xing. No, it just. All right, Elin, work on that. Folks, thank you for watching. Drag racing. It's doing well. I'm glad it is. God bless and keep the pedal to the metal. This has been the Competition Plus Power Hour.